respect to Malema of South Africa. I'll be playing a video of Malema here. But before that, you know, whenever I say Africa should align ourselves strategically with the Russians and Chinese, some Africans claim that decoupling away from America and the West and working with the Chinese and Russians is like changing a slave master to another slave master. And I keep telling you guys that Africa is not an island. We must work with somebody out there. I keep saying this, but because some of you don't understand basic economics, so you guys claim that Africa should decouple away from everybody and work alone. How do you mean by Africa should work alone? We are not an island. I keep saying that African economy it cannot be isolated, and the Chinese economy cannot be isolated. Our economies is intertwined. If you take out the Chinese economy from the world will be incomplete. If you take out African economy from the world economy, the world economy wouldn't be complete. So we must work together. We must work with each other. What we are advocating for is a win-win relationship. We don't want a relationship whereby somebody will be benefiting and the other party will be struggling, like we see happening between the West and Africa. This is what some of us are against, right? So if you're watching me on Facebook, please, the full video is on my YouTube channel. If you're watching me on TikTok, the full video is on my YouTube channel. So watch the video of Malema. Thank you.
Makes Russia in this context more strategic.
Some would say that's too clear, or that's too much of a dichotomy that you're drawing there between, if you're against NATO, if you're against the West,
yes,
then you must be supported. Isn't it possible to, in the tradition of many revolutionary African leaders, to say, as in the case of the Cold War and the Soviet Union, we're not in the Western Bloc, nor are we going to support acts of war and aggression that come from the alternative bloc. We're going to create our own path in international relations, because otherwise one falls victim to the claim that you're a lapdog for Russian interests, instead of having your own position on these questions.
No, we're an anti-imperialist organization, and anything that takes head on imperialism, we aligned with it. We're not a Russian lapdog. We have to create both tactical and strategic allies international if we want to attain socialism as a system that should operate worldwide. We cannot operate in isolation. And that's why you see the Communist Party of China not having a difficulty to align with Russia, knowing very well that Russia and Putin is a capitalist system and Putin is a beneficiary of such a system. But in the international politics, they've taken a correct posture, and that posture is what we are as the EFF.
But do you denounce Russian aggression? Do you find anything wrong with the fact that Russia intervened directly in Ukraine, went to war in contravention of the UN Charter? Do you denounce that?
My guy, we're with Russia. We're not denouncing Russia. And we'll give it weapons if we're a state. There's no confusion about that.
Well, the office...
United States create wars in other countries in order to exploit them. This is what some of us are against. So in order for Africa to make more money out of our resource or benefit from our resource, we must sell this resource to somebody out there. Ghana cannot sell gold to South Africa because South Africa already have gold. Ghana cannot sell gold to Mali because Mali have a lot of gold. Mali cannot sell gold to DRC because DRC have a lot of gold. So if we don't partner with the outside world, then our resource become valueless. Our resource is valued because the outside world don't have what we have. So when you tell people, let's work with these people, they claim, oh, working with that person is like changing a slave master to another slave master. These people, they don't understand simple economics. You guys should be smart. Look at Venezuela. Venezuela had a lot of oil. But what happened when United States sanctioned them? The economy collapsed. So you must work with somebody out there in order to make your resource benefitable for your own self and your country. So if you're a leader and you tell me that you don't have to work with anybody, what do you mean? What are you going to do with the resource we have on the continent? Some way, somehow, what we are advocating for is Africa shouldn't just export our resource and leave the continent. We can process these resources on the continent here and sell it to the outside world. And this is what the Chinese are doing. The Chinese are doing the same thing in, Uganda. If you tell the Chinese that I don't want to export my resource, I want you to process it into finished products in my country, they will do it. The Chinese take to contract that you sign with them. If you also believe that you want to send your resource outside, the Chinese will do it for you. The Russians will do it for you. And this is what some of us are advocating for. Not somebody who will come here and bully us and tell us what we should do with our own resource. We want to take control of our own resource. This is what we are advocating for. This is exactly what we are advocating for. Telling me that working with the Russians and Chinese is an act of slavery clearly shows that you don't understand economics. You don't understand how a country is run. Cannot tell me that, changing is working with the Russians like changing a slave master to another slave master. Alignment is not an act of slavery, but it is a win-win. It is a win-win situation. You win, I win. You need something from me, I need something from you. This is what BRICS is all about. You cannot print papers in your country and come for my resource. You have to come with something. You bring your cars, you take my resource. You can't print papers in your country and come for my resource. Then weaponize the same currency. We don't control our own resource. The prices is determined by the buyer and not the seller. This is what we are against, and that is why we are saying that let us move from the west to east and China. It's simple. Because we want to take control of our own resource. The Chinese do not determine, or they don't tell us that you must act this way or that way before we will buy your resource. But in Western America, they tell Africa that you must accept democracy, you must accept LGBTQ, you must choose this leader or that leader. If not, we are not going to buy your resource, or we will sanction your resource. This is what we are against. We are not advocating that African resources shouldn't be sold. Are we going to chop the resource? If nobody buy African resource, do you think our economies is going to survive? African economies is not going to survive if nobody buy this resource. Because we have them in abundance, and creating this resource among ourselves is, we are not going to get the real value. We are not going to get the real value. So we need to work with somebody out there in order to get the real value of our own resource. This is what some of us are advocating for. And I salute Malema. He's a wise guy, right? So guys, if you are watching me, if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, because I'll be bringing you interesting contents like this. If you really like my contents, like the video. It's very, very important. If you like the video, YouTube will introduce it to a lot of people out there. So guys, thank you very much.